If you grew up on U.S. classic rock radio, the British invasion you heard was the obvious one. Zeppelin, Sabbath, Purple. But just off that main highway were UK bands that brought grit, brains, and big riffs, and somehow slipped past our playlists. This episode is about those records you find in the import bin, the TV clips buried on late-night YouTube, and the songs that make you ask, how did we miss this? 10 British hard rock outfits all worth rediscovering, especially if your ears were trained stateside. What most people in the US don't know is that Atomic Rooster helped define the heavy, keyboard-driven end of British hard rock. Dark, dramatic, and strangely soulful. Founded by organ monster Vincent Crane and briefly featuring a pre-Emerson Lake Palmer Carl Palmer, they built songs that feel like horror films with hooks. Tomorrow Night and Devil's Answer, both 1971 UK hits, snap with that ominous swing, while Death Walks Behind You sets the vibe. Doom-laced grooves, stabbing Hammond, and a cinematic sense of dread that still feels modern. The draw is weight plus mood. Guitars snarl, but it's the organ and piano hits that make the ground move, like Sabbath reimagined for haunted cathedrals. If your shelves lean US heavy, Grand Funk, early Alice, Rooster opens a new corridor, heavy without being all guitar, melodic without losing menace. Start with Death Walks Behind You, then chase and hearing of Atomic Rooster. Late night record, lights down, volume up, watch the room change. Still remember the first time Bread Fan hit me. Speed, groove, and a bass tone that could tow a truck. For many Americans, Budgie arrived by Rumor and Metallica covers, but the originals bite harder. Spin Never Turn Your Back on a Friend, and you'll hear the template. Power trio punch, odd song shapes and melodies that bloom on repeat plays. Parents stretches like a mini epic. Zoom Club from the 1974 album In for the Kill grinds and lifts in the same breath. Budgie's magic is the blend of muscle and imagination. Heavy riffs lock you in, then they zag into dynamics. Quiet verses, vocal twists, wide open bridges, without losing the crush. If US radio had grabbed just one of those long-form pieces, Budgie would be stapled to our classic rock canon. Start with the self-titled debut, Squawk, and that 1973 landmark, then try Bandolier for swagger. Once Budgie clicks, it sticks, and suddenly you're that friend telling everyone they missed the real thing. When I dove into the Groundhogs, I found a trio that turned British blues into something fierce and forward. No sleepy 12 bars here. Tony T.S. McPhee's guitar is all bite and imagination, wrenching feedback, drones, and precision lines into hard rock shapes. Thank Christ for the bomb moves like a concept film. Split is lean and mean, and Cherry Red is the gateway. Relentless, serrated, hypnotic. For U.S. ears raised on Cream, CC Top, and Mountain, the Groundhogs feel like a parallel universe. Same blues DNA, but the attitude is post-psychedelic and restless. The rhythm section keeps everything tense and propulsive. This is club wall melting music, the kind that sounds bigger than the room. If crate digging already seduced you with the weird corners of the UK scene, this is essential. Start with Split, then backtrack to Thank Christ for the bomb for the larger vision. Grit, brains, and a guitar voice you won't confuse with anyone else.
We stood outside, the world was laughing.
Now here's a twist. City Boy fused big guitar rock with art pop smarts, then slipped through the cracks over here. Early on, they worked with a young Mutt Lange, and you can hear it. Stacked harmonies, tight turns, choruses that fit like engineered parts. 5705, their 1978 hit from Book Early, was a top 10 single in the UK and cracked the US top 30. But The Day the Earth Caught Fire in 1979 shows their darker, heavier ambition. Sleek riffs, dramatic bridges, and lyrics with bite. From a US perspective, they sit right where hard rock kisses AOR. Think guitars that sparkle without softening, arrangements that move, and vocals cut for radio that never quite got the slot. If you love the moment where craft meets crunch, Foreigner on a caffeine high, early cars with tougher guitars, City Boy is a gold mine. Start with Book Early, then dive into Earth Caught Fire for the muscle. It's precise without feeling sterile, proof that polish can still punch.
Yesterday in Jericho's such a peaceful town.
Let's move on to Stray. I never get tired of telling people about them. A London band with arena-ready riffs that somehow never became a US radio staple. Del Bromham's guitar has that chewy, melodic crunch, and the songs move All in Your Mind, Suicide, Jericho. They can be heavy hitters or widescreen storytellers, sometimes in the same track, with arrangements that dodge the obvious. What sells Stray is balance. Hooky vocals riding muscular guitars, a touch of sight color, and just enough unpredictability to feel alive. If you grew up on Foghat and early Aerosmith, this scratches the same itch with a UK twist. More drama, more left turns, same head nod power. Start with the self-titled debut and Saturday Morning Pictures, recorded late 71, released early 72. You'll hear a band that could have owned US arenas if timing and luck aligned. Put them in the car, windows down, and let the choruses do the work.
All we could do was stop loving. That's all we needed to.
Next up is Lone Star, a Welsh group that brought a classy, almost cinematic sheen to hard rock. You'll hear why UFO later hired guitarist Paul Chapman. The leads have that fluid, high-octane glide. Firing on All Six is the keeper. Melodic, urgent, and built for loudspeakers. Big choruses, strong vocals, and guitar heroics that never spill into bloat. From the US vantage point, Lone Star sits between your favorite 70s, hard rock, and late decade AOR. The crunch is real, the melodies stick, and the production flatters both. If you like your British rock road ready, think Boston's smoothness crossed with UK bite, this hits the sweet spot. Start with Firing on All Six, then circle back to the debut for the slightly proggier flavors. It's the why didn't I hear this on FM back then? Feeling in album form. When I first stumbled onto Spider, it felt like finding a lost British cousin to our bar band Boogie. Straight ahead rhythms, stomp ready choruses, denim and leather attitude. They were new wave of British heavy metal era in timing, but sonically closer to Status Quo with extra bite. Rock and Roll Gypsies 1982 is the sweet spot. Tight songs, crankable production, and a stage-born swagger that wants sticky floors and loud PAs. This is pure weekend gig energy, music that trades complexity for connection and wins. If your heart leans toward the barroom side of AC/DC or the no-nonsense punch of early Crocus, Spider hits that nerve. It's riffs that land, shout-along hooks, and tempos that keep the room moving. File under, simple, sweaty, effective, and criminally underplayed on US radio. Start with rock and roll gypsies, then chase singles and live cuts for the full picture. While listening to Trapeze for the first time, I thought, how is this not massive in the States? Funky grooves, soaring melodies, and a young Glenn Hughes singing like a jet engine. Medusa in 1970 and You Are the Music. We're Just the Band in 1972 deliver that soulful, heavy thing. Music you feel in your shoulders and your spine. Black Cloud snarls, Seafull stretches, Coast to Coast glides. Here's the kicker. Trapeze actually built a cult, following in the American South, especially Texas, where those live shows turned into legend. They're the place where British hard rock meets R&B muscle. Bad Company with more daring, Deep Purple's soul cousin. If you want groove with grit, this is essential. Start with Medusa for the shock of discovery, then play You Are the Music to hear the range. You'll wonder how this wasn't on your hometown station after midnight. While most of us in the US never heard the name, Nutz delivered tough, tuneful hard rock with just enough glam on the edges to sparkle. The self-titled debut shows the template. Nutz 2 in 1975 refines it, and the live set Nutz Live Cuts in 1977 proves they could bring the heat on stage. Verses are tight, refrains are big, and the guitars carry that mid-70s bite that never seems to age. If your shelves are full of Thin Lizzy, Montrose, and early Nugent, you'll recognize the DNA. Guitar-centric, hook-smart, and built for volume. What makes them stick is economy. Songs get to the point, land the chorus, and leave you humming. Start with Nutz 2 for the songwriting leap, then go live for the punch. Consider this your new deep-cut party trick, the band you put on and watch friends ask, "Who is this?" Last but not least, Dirty Tricks. Blues-bitten, barreling hard rock that came and went too fast. 3 albums in quick succession. Dirty Tricks in 1975, Nightman 1976, and Hit and Run in 1977. The vocals snarl, the guitars grind, and the rhythm section keeps everything mean and mobile. It's that club circuit toughness you feel in your ribs. There's an unvarnished quality here that feels closer to US roadhouses than to glossy British studios. More sweat than sheen, more swing than stomp. If you want riffs with teeth and choruses that still know how to move, this is a perfect closer. Start with the debut. You'll get the mission statement in one spin. Then let Hit and Run do exactly what it promises. Sometimes the most honest hard rock is the kind that sounds like it was recorded with beer on the amp. Even with the US dial tuned to the Big Three, British hard rock in the 70s and early 80s was far wider, stranger, and, yeah, often better than we were told. These 10 bands won't replace your favorites. They'll expand the map. If you're listening from the States, consider this your alternate history. Louder, deeper, and full of new rabbit holes to chase.
Steady eyes, so